What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Jess Total Package, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, whatever happened to Enzo and Cass? For audio fans, give us a listen to Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. Or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast. And on social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. Interesting thing, just when we started this, some of our cast members didn't even catch this moment in wrestling because if you blink, you kind of miss it. But when you saw it, these guys were over.
This was kind of during it was sort of during the PG era, I think, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah.
And so, this, if you blinked, you missed Enzo and Cass, but like they're worth talking about because the potential was off the charts, man. Like, it's just one of those things that like Vince dreams of, right? Organically over. We'll talk about some moments later where a microphone was cut and they did a promo like with no microphone, but the whole crowd chanted their whole catchphrase or whatever. You know, they had...
It's a fantastic moment.
They checked all the boxes. Like they had the Vince McMahon like catchphrase that they could go out and say every time, like almost like the New Age Outlaws. Oh, you didn't know?
Yes, and that whole thing. It had New Age Outlaw vibes.
Yeah. Sure. So this is it's kind of a sad story because like they never really. I mean, they're both around now, and we'll get to it. But I mean, like, yeah, they were on the big stage and they came up from NXT. Like you're going to talk about, which is their developmental territory. And the early days of NXT, they came up. So this is very interesting.
Yeah. Arn and Morrissey first met each other whilst in their mid-teens during a game of basketball at the Cage in Manhattan, New York, nearly 10 years before reuniting in WWE's developmental territory in NXT. On May 22nd of 2013, Enzo debuted on NXT television, where he was quickly defeated by Mason Ryan. Colin Cassidy also debuted on
Mason
NXT.
Ryan, Jesus.
Also a loss to Mason Ryan.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first from Hackensack, New Jersey, weighing 200 pounds, Enzo Amore.
My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and a bona fide stud. And when I look up and down this NXT roster, I see nothing but a bunch of fake tough guys. What I like to call a fugazi.
Who's Mason Ryan?
He was a guy that everybody calls the new Batista. He kind of had a Batista vibe. He was big and muscular or whatever. Just zero talent. Zero talent.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
On the July 3rd episode of NXT, Amore and Cassidy went on to form an alliance, and they label themselves the realest guys in the room. Amore and Cassidy went on to feud with Alexander Rusev, Scott Dawson, and their manager Sylvester Lefort.
Rusev.
Turning face in the process, right?
Yeah, Rusev. Rusev. Fucking guys, man. Like all these talented guys that we saw come up.
Yeah, I mean, NXT is still churning out major talent, but this is like the talent of talent. Like when you think about some of these guys, like didn't headline WrestleMania, but came really close. They were in WrestleMania, close to headline. Yeah, stuff like Rusev was. Remember Rusev coming down in the tank,
facing Cena.
Deal. Yeah, facing John Cena. It's massive stuff. So
and Cena beat him.
It's amazing.
So that helped.
Yeah. In November of 2013, Amore suffered a broken leg while training, which led Cassidy to try to find his hand at singles competition. And Amore returned on the June 26th episode of NXT in 2014, saving Cassidy from an attack from Sylvester Lefort and Marcus Lewis. Amore and Cassidy then formed an alliance, debuting Carmella. For those who don't know, Carmella was also kind of the shit. Was she a Divas champion or a women's champion? Because I remember it was right on the cusp.
It was a women's. It wasn't Divas.
It was women's, yeah, right, yeah. So
it was with the red and blue, the red and blue titles.
Right, yeah. So the duo had accidentally cost Carmella her hairdressing job per the storyline, causing her to demand to get a job as a professional wrestler. Carmella had her televised in-ring debut on the October 16th episode of NXT. And on March 11th of the next year episode of NXT, Amore and Cassidy defeated the Lucha Dragons to become the number one contender for the NXT Tag Team Championship.
So yeah, and really quick here too, like Carmella, they were like a little trio. It was like Enzo and Cass and Carmella, and a lot of people probably don't remember, but Cass and Carmella were dating in real life. Like they were like
they dated for realsies. Yeah. And one more person. I mean, you're almost a faction.
Listen, like the NXT, I always kind of like equated the NXT with like a college frat house. You know, it's like they were all in Florida. They all stayed in local apartments that were rented by WWE. Like, and so they all stayed. So it was like a college like dorm. You know, like basically is what happened. Right. So I mean, we all know what happened to Soraya and Woods. You know,
my god,
yeah, you know what I mean. And like, yeah, she was dating like other people. And like so they were all just they're young people, right, in their fucking 20s. They're in the best shape of their lives. They're all muscular and hot and sexy and all around each other all the time.
Yeah, they're all very good looking.
And then they all go back to relatively the same apartment fucking complex. You know what I mean? Like, and hang out and at night and stuff like that. So yeah, like there was relationships formed in the early NXT.
Oh yeah, all you did was that and play video games. Apparently.
Yeah,
that's what you would do. So let's see. At NXT TakeOver, Unstoppable, Amore, and Cassidy faced Blake and Murphy for the title in a losing effort after interference from Alexa Bliss. God, look at all the names coming back. Yeah. On the April 20th episode of NXT, the two took on the newly crowned NXT Tag Team Champions, American Alpha, in a friendly non-title bout where they failed to defeat them. This was Amore and Cassidy's last appearance in NXT, so they technically never won the NXT tag titles.
They did not. Yeah, which is crazy. They were so over.
That's crazy. They were way over. On the Raw after WrestleMania 32, Amore and Cassidy debuted on the main roster and confronted the Dudley Boys. Well, that can cause problems.
My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is Big Cass, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, realest guys in the room, how you doing?
Well, what a big, right away they're up against the fucking Dudley Boys, who were kind of returning on like their legendary run at this time. Like they had been gone, they had already done TNA and all that stuff, and Dudley Boys came back. But the fact is that they were trying to put them up against a popular tag team of yesteryear. And so if it's not the New Age Outlaws, it's going to be the Dudley Boys around this time.
There you go. And a week later on SmackDown, Amore and Cassidy defeated the Ascension in their main roster debut in a tournament to determine the number one contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. The team went on to defeat the Dudley Boys the following week's Raw in a semifinal of the tag team tournament, advancing them to the finals. In the finals, they faced the Vaudevillians on Payback, with the match ending at a no contest after Amore suffered a legitimate concussion during the match. I remember that.
Yes, like he got thrown out through the ropes, and didn't he catch his neck or whatever on the bottom rope? And it
his neck and head on the bottom rope snapped it back.
Yeah, it slammed it back on the mat or whatever. I remember that. That was live on pay-per-view, right? Like that was like he got fucking totally concussed and like knocked out like on the outside of the ring.
Here to WWE. I don't think anyone expected to make it to the finals of this tournament. Now, one match away. Wow, man! Wow! Did you see the way that Amore, talk about whiplash? His head bouncing off the bottom rope. And he may be out. And Gotch wasted a little time trying to take advantage here, and the official doing his job, separating Gotch from Amore, and Amore looks like he may be out. Look at that.
Yeah, it was odd because like it was kind of like a short reversal, and he slid down. I think I'm trying to remember how it went down.
It was a spot that they had done before. I want to say because Enzo and one of the guys from the Vaudevillains didn't get along in real life, and he was talking about like how it happened. I think they both talked in shoot interviews about how it happened, and like it was a freak accident. They had done that spot before, and he just fucking whiplashed and hit his head on that one, and like just the slide wasn't right.
Yeah, because he was supposed to slide, but someone says he was too close on the reversal. And a lot of people try to blame the Vaudevillians, but like a lot of people say Enzo was in the wrong spot. I don't know. It's like you said. I think it's just
little things like that. Like we don't. I don't want to say we don't. There's a lot of fans that don't appreciate what these men and women do. It's a split second, right? Like when you're doing a bump or you're doing a sliding outside the ring or whatever. It's if you're off a half a second, you bang your fucking head on the apron and knock yourself out. Like, I mean, it's just,
100%.
We take advantage that these talented like athletes do this performance and they do it all the time, and we get so used to them being perfect. So like we just when asleep, oh, it's got to be this person's fault, or it's a freak accident, bro. Like you're sliding people out, a gap this big, right, from the bottom rope to the fucking middle rope, and you're trying to execute a move where you're sliding your body like through that little thing in the middle of a reversal in a professional wrestling match that's on fucking pay-per-view. And so like it's gonna happen sometimes. It's not anybody's fault. It's like they just fucking someone thwacked their head.
And by the way, like this is probably one of the things that kind of possibly wrecked their. I got three things. It kind of probably wrecked their kind of movement to the titles at that moment, but also the Vaudevillians were spectacular.
Yeah, they were fun.
I love them.
They were super fun.
I love them. They never got over on the main roster, in my opinion, and I'm not sure if it's because Vince didn't.
Well,
try
the
to help
tag
it.
team division was flat here too, which is why you should push an Enzo and Cass, which is why I'm doing this episode.
Right, and they were so way over.
You got to revitalize it.
The
The tag team wrestling was relatively dead in '97, and then they put two guys, but these unknown guys, but Road Dogg and Billy Gunn together, and just that fucking worked,
Right.
and it just fucking
And it just
erupted.
worked.
They got a part of DX. They started doing the you didn't know, which is very similar to Enzo and
So
Cass,
fun.
and and they come down. They revitalized the tag team division because when you get a tag team over, which I felt that Enzo and Cass were on the road. You're going to read more to this level, and they just never achieved it, which is really sad.
Yeah, I think this moment kind of didn't help, and it's really sad because it's a freak thing, but then you get a concussion, you can't handle it. There's a lot of that talk.
It's not even that, or you're sloppy, or you don't know what you're doing. And I think Enzo got saddled with the whole "you're sloppy, you're not a really good worker." Like he got saddled.
And I don't
with that
agree with that.
later.
I thought he was a great worker. I think he is a great worker. He's still wrestling today.
Yeah.
Around this time, Cassie's ring name changed to his former nickname, Big Cass. At the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, Enzo and Cass faced the New Day, the Vaudevillians, and Luke Gallows with Carl Anderson in a fatal four-way tag team match for the WWE
Good
Tag Team
Brothers.
Champions. But the New Day retained their titles. Gosh, another fantastic tag team. On the July 4th edition of Raw, Enzo and Cass helped John Cena, who was getting attacked by the Club, involving themselves in a feud between Cena and
They got the
Club.
John Cena rub.
Yeah, they got a little rub there. As a result, Enzo and Cass teamed with Cena to face the Club in a six-man tag team match at Battleground, which they did win.
I love John Cena on the apron taking all this in. He tweeted out earlier this week, witness the new era knocking on the door of opportunity.
That's what.
Enzo! Set airborne!
Air Enzo. I think all the fights that these guys have had all over the world, they've never seen anything quite like Enzo and Big Cass.
On the July 19th episode, on July 19th at the 2016 draft, Enzo and Cass were drafted to Raw brand. Following Battleground, Enzo and Cass proceeded to feud with Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. It's not bad either. Was that you just made the list time frame?
Possibly.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
Kevin
it
ended up
has to be.
turning
It
on
has to
Chris
be.
Jericho.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
Yep. The feud culminated at SummerSlam in a tag team match, which would be won by Jericho and Owens. I don't know why you would do that. That doesn't make sense to me. Like it hurts. It hurts them more than it hurts Jericho.
It's like they
and
get them right
Owens,
there.
I
They
think.
beat the Dudley Boys in a semifinal. They get the John Cena rub, and then you don't pull the trigger on them. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Enzo and Cass were announced as a part of Team Raw for the 10-on-10 Survivor Series tag team elimination match at Survivor Series in 2016, which they actually won that. They did win that. So, okay. On the November 25th episode of Raw, after Amore was locked out of their locker room naked by Cass as a practical joke and ran into Lana in the hallway, her husband Rusev challenged Amore to a match later that night, which Amore was quickly defeated. On the December 5th, 2016, I'm still laughing about that. That's fantastic. I forget about Rusev and Lana. I think that was also a fantastic. I mean, I know
was a
they're
great
together
pair.
or they work together in real life, but that was so fun.
That'll be another
back in those
episode,
days.
like what happened to Rusev.
Yeah, we definitely need to.
What
dig
did
into that.
happen to Rusev?
On the December 5th episode in 2016 and Raw, after Amore stood up for Lana after seeing her and Rusev argue backstage, Lana invited Amore to her hotel room. Later that night, this was revealed to be a trap when Rusev attacked Amore in the hotel room. Over the following weeks, Enzo and Cass feuded with Rusev and Jinder Mahal. Man, that's another one. Blast from the not so distant past. Who also became a WWE champion, which I think was a great champion, by the way. They did a great job with gender at that time.
I thought so. It just rather than push these guys to the top of the tag division, they're just fucking with them. It's like, why?
Yeah,
like,
they're not even really in the tag division.
You get
like,
politics, you get people saying, "Oh, so and so's not so talented; they don't deserve it." It's like, look, if they're over, and they were over, you fucking just put the fucking rockets on them, and if they don't work out, they don't work out. But like, you don't stop. Like, I've said it so many times. We're fans, right? We only see the product that you put on television. We could read the dirt sheets and speculate on what goes behind the scenes, and we might be right or we might be wrong. We might be close. We might be way off. That's a crapshoot, right? But what we do know for sure is what we see on television, and we saw an over tag team that reminded us of the New Age Outlaws, or the Attitude Era that wrestlers that had the catchphrase that came out. Hello, ladies. All that stuff. Like that was all these catchphrases, and we were being reminded, and you just don't do anything with them. Why? Like, even if Enzo's not the most talented guy, let's say you're right. Do it anyway. Anyway.
Well, even looking at
the
this
Warrior,
thing,
Goldberg, Honky Tonk Man. Do I need to go on? Like,
to your point, we go into WrestleMania 33 though, Jess, and the champions are Gallows and Anderson. Which, by the way, I don't dislike them, but like what?
But why couldn't they have lost?
Like, yeah, why? And then it's a four-way. It's a fatal four-way against Gallows and Anderson, Cesaro and Sheamus, and the Hardy Boys. And the Hardy Boys are just coming back, and you put the tag titles on the Hardy Boys again? Like, like 20-time champions. What are we doing? Like, why are we waiting so long? Like, it's just weird. On the May 22nd episode of Raw, Amore was attacked again. Cass would
because somebody got in Vince's ear. I guarantee somebody got in Vince's ear and said they're not the real deal. They're not that. That's what happened. And then Vince is like, well, I guess they're not the real deal.
Trips maybe Trips
or whoever. Probably a bunch of people.
But maybe people thought they were too dangerous. Like, they hope they get the title, something happens to them out in public. I don't know how crazy they were in public,
right?
But I didn't.
Well, we'll get to some of that stuff in the end.
Well, it happens later, but it doesn't happen here. So I don't know. It's weird.
Well, but I mean, people before we get told about a story, they knew about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, behavior leads up to the event. Like, you know what I mean? So you never know.
Yeah,
I don't know that to be a fact.
I'm saying. If you tell someone long enough that they do bad things, they will do bad things.
Yeah,
say that. So Cass would tell the general manager Kurt Angle to find the attacker before he does. The next week, Cass would accuse Corey Graves, then the Revival as Amore's attackers, and then on the June 5th, 2017 episode of Raw, Cass was mysteriously attacked in the same manner as Amore and blamed his attack on Big Show, but Show denied the allegation. And then on the June 19th episode, it was revealed that Corey Graves that Cass was behind the attacks on Amore, and that he faked his own attack.
He split him up.
Lure away suspension. That he was actually they're splitting them up. It's like, what are we doing?
There's more to it than what I'm seeing right now. I know there is. I know this.
You're damn right I did it! Do you have any idea what it's like teaming up with you, Enzo? You just constantly run your mouth about God knows what every single minute of the day. Do you know how many times I've wanted to slap you right upside your head? How many times I wanted to knock you out myself? But I didn't do it because I felt bad for you, Enzo. Because everybody behind that curtain doesn't like you. I felt bad for you, Enzo.
Cass stated his frustration during his time teaming with Amore, accusing him of holding him down, calling him dead weight, and Cass delivered a big boot to Amore, turning heel and disbanding the team. This is pretty obvious at this point, to my opinion, Jess, that they had no faith in Enzo. And Vince,
even though he was the best on the mic, but Vince saw the big guy in Cass, and he's like, "Oh, he's the big guy.
Right.
That's what I want."
And when I say they, I mean VK.
You'll talk about it here too. I remember specifically a feud with Daniel Bryan here, Big Cass. They were trying to get him over, and then he got injured.
Right. Yeah, that's basically what it is. So they continued the feud for the duration of the summer in 2017, with Amore eventually befriending Big Show, and Cass's ensuing series of altercations culminated in a match at SummerSlam, with Amore locked inside a shark cage hung over the ring.
So bad.
Although Amore escaped the cage, he was easily taken out by Cass, who would go on to defeat the Big Show, which, by the way, that's a rub. That's putting him over, getting him somewhere On the August 21st episode of Raw, Cass faced Amore in a street fight, which Amore won by referee stoppage after Cass suffered a legitimate knee injury. Like, these guys just are not catching any breaks at all physically.
Well, and then when you have the locker room shitting on you, and I don't know, again, I don't know what their behavior was. Like, there was a lot of reports about this time saying Enzo was.
But
a
you never
bitch
heard you never heard anything. That's the thing. Like, to your point.
And here comes the 7-footer. Enzo Amore as Cass goes over the top rope, and he may have hurt his leg. And this could be the opening that Enzo needs.
Enzo needs to. Oh, Big Cass knee just gave out.
Looking to drop the Empire elbow, and again, the knee is, Corey mentioned, buckled. And can Enzo Amore take advantage?
This could be some kind of weird poetic justice. I mean, Enzo didn't inflict the damage, but Big Cass is down and hurt in a bad way.
And Enzo realizing that Cass is hurt.
Enzo would go on to win the WWE Cruiserweight title on No Mercy in September 2017 and have a respectable run there. In 2018, Art and Morrissey were released at separate times from WWE. Art was released on January 23rd due to some sexual assault allegations, and Morrissey was released.
Which I do believe that he was that there was no charges filed. I believe he was absorbed. Is that what you?
Yeah,
absolved.
Absolved.
Yeah. There you go.
And I guess Cass had some public intoxication issues during a tour. And he just
him and Carmella broke up, I think, and I think that really affected him. And he was a partier or whatever, and I think that hurt him too, because I remember a feud between Big Cass and Daniel Bryan, that they were trying to do, and then it just didn't work out.
Yeah, it's just a lot of bad things after another. The thing that cracks me up though is that how many times was a Hardy Boy getting drunk and getting arrested at this point too, and they let them win tag titles, no problem. It was fine.
I don't know why I want to defend WWE at this point, but then, they're learning from that, right? Like, why walk into that again? Because you do make a good point. How many times did Hardy, do that? But I'm like, why repeat that twice then?
How many times did a certain Uso do that?
They saw it early, and they tried to cut it off, and maybe the attitudes were bad. Oh, God, I have hiccups. Maybe the attitudes were bad. I don't know. You don't really know. But also, too, once you get the locker room turned against you, Vince is going to listen.
It's hard.
He's going to listen to the energy of the locker room, and they're like, Enzo's not good. They're both not up to no good. Cass parties too much. He's got a problem with drugs and, and all this other stuff or whatever. And I think it just happened. It's fucking unfortunate. So I'm doing this episode.
Sucks. And they're still working their way back. But in 2019, Art and Morrissey reunited at a G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden. Following a tag team match involving the Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling talent, the two jumped the barricade and attacked several wrestlers. Soon thereafter, the pair gave an interview to Sports Illustrated announcing that they had been reformed as a tag team known as Enzo, and then Kaz XL. Collectively, they would become as free agents with a Z, right? And this is kind of, I don't even want to say, not the whole story yet. I think their story is still going, Jess, at this moment. There's speculation. I mean, we all know that Cass is part of the learning tree in AEW right now.
Yeah, Cass is part of the learning tree, and Enzo was actually recently on the Jericho Cruise. So
right.
So I heard rumors that they're going to come to AEW.
Reunite.
Yeah. In AEW. Yeah, exactly. I hope so. I don't have any faith in AEW to do anything good with them, but I hope that, you know what, if Jericho has any say in it or whatever and sees it and maybe allows it, and just goes, let's push those.
Expand the learning tree. The learning tree needs something like a shot in the arm. Enzo would be fun. And that his mic skills are unmatched, and Kaz is funny, by the way, too.
He's great. He's doing really good stuff. I really like him.
Carrying the mic and having fun. Enzo could upstage Jericho.
Big Bill in AEW, right? Big Bill, I think is his name.
Is it Big Bill?
Yeah,
yes,
I think it's
I'm
Big
sorry. Yeah, because everything's bought by somebody. Yeah, you have
right.
Big Bill.
So I would love to see them just try it again or whatever on a bigger stage, and AEW has.
So Cass would have to be like Casanova in AEW or something. I don't know.
And Enzo-rific. I don't know. But I just wanted to talk about these guys too, because I think maybe they're a missed opportunity. Maybe they fell victim to politics. Maybe they just weren't good in the back. Maybe Enzo was a bitch and Cass had a lot of problems, with his substance and whatever. I don't know. I don't know. And I know he got injured for a long time.
If you took this attitude from the ring and took it to the locker room, I think a lot of people would have beef with it.
Sure.
But a lot of people maybe don't understand, if your method working, you're going to do this all the time. Like, you know, the rumor is Tom Hanks talked in the Gump accent until, you know, filming was over, right?
Yes, Jim Carrey did it for
up.
Man on the Moon. Like he was Andy Kaufman the whole time.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not even saying that happened. All I'm saying, like, sometimes things just get misread, misinterpreted, and I think they were different. And, you know, dare I say, they didn't look like every wrestler out there, and that scared me.
No, I think that's, it's weird. And I also think, too, that I've always fought between that bottom line of, like, what we see on the television is what we see. And that's the product you sell to your consumer.
That's what they want us to see. Right?
But, you know, when I hear later on, like, oh, yeah, the Warrior just didn't get it. I'm like, but he was over, and what you showed us on television was a star. So, like, if you're using the backstage heat or politics or whatever you want to call it to pull someone back, it hurts the product. Like, because you have told us you had Warrior beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6.
Good example of that.
You had Warrior beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6, and like that's the biggest. Like, you're showing us one thing, but then you pull him back and you kind of punish him. But like, we shouldn't be punished as fans. Does that make any sense? Like, and it's just kind of like I'm not saying if someone's really bad and cancerous and a negative person in the back, they should be pushed. But at the same time, don't push them on the screen. And they pushed Enzo and Cass, and they got over, and they beat the Dudley Boys, and they beat, you know, like in the beginning, and you never made them win the world tag titles, and like, you know, teach them how to be what you want.
They didn't win any tag titles, Jess. Not even NXT.
Teach them how to be what you want. Like, you know, tell them in back, like, listen, bro, like we're gonna put the tag titles on you. Do what we fucking ask you. Like, I just don't feel, you know, as tough as everybody always says Vince was or whatever. Just fucking make it happen. Like, it's just really weird. Whatever you show us on TV, like. It hurts you if you pull them back in the long run. If you're showing us on Dave, we were talking about that too. I don't think I put that in the notes, but when the Good Boys came out and cut their mic, and you saw Enzo cut that promo with no mic, and the whole crowd knew their whole routine.
So over.
That is over, bro. That is fucking like money in a bag, and you just didn't do it.
And by the way, Gallows and Anderson got tag titles. They got him a couple of times.
Yep.
They did.
And your microphone's being turned off? Oh, man. Now that's music to our ears. Brother Shea.
Right there. I got a microphone right here. I think this one works. Hold on. My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't see that. And this right here, this is Big Cass, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't see that.
It is incredibly frustrating, but I'm glad we got to see them, and I hope we get to see them again in AEW. I think that would be Again, you're talking about they're trying to revamp that tag division. They have the Hurt Syndicate there doing some major work. These guys can give them a run. They don't even need to win the tag titles anymore, but these guys are a real well-known name, and I think people would go along with their
they will remember them,
later.
and I think they'll get a pop. They'll be fine.
Oh, 100%. I'd love to see it.
If they're pushed right.
For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, and check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast, and on social media. And you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook on Our Wrestling Podcast. If you have a Tesla and are lame,
none of it.
That's where you go. For Jess and myself, this is the O.W.P signing off. Have a good one.
Fuck off.